This is Adam Ludwig with House Tone Construction. Today we're going to show you guys how to patch a hole in a wall. What happened is actually my daughter did this. You're going to notice a lot of my videos are usually me fixing things that my kids did or things that I did. So this is one that my kid did. But she tried to hang on a towel that was here. They had a towel bar here. She tried to hang on it, pull it right out of the drywall. So we're going to patch this. We're going to put some plywood back there. So that way when we reattach the towel bar, we'll have something to screw it into instead of just using mollies. Mollies don't tend to hold very well, so we're going to put something a little better back there. So we're just going to kind of take you through the process of patching it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go get a piece of drywall and a piece of plywood. We're going to cut the hole out to the size of the drywall and put the piece of plywood behind there so we have some backing to attach it to. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I just cut out a square piece of drywall from a larger sheet of drywall. We're just going to place that over where we want our patch. Tear that out of here, we don't need that. We want to make sure the piece is big enough to cover the hole. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take a pencil and we're just going to mark the wall behind it. We're going to take a keyhole saw and we're just going to cut. The nice thing about a keyhole saw is you can drive it in anywhere. You don't have to like start where the hole already is. Just put it where you want to start. Punch it into the wall. Ooh, I think I have a 2x4 back there. Nice. Good, we do have a 2x4 right here in our piece, which is good because that'll give us something else to screw our backing onto, or our piece of drywall onto. Another thing you want to be careful with when you're using a keyhole saw where you're punching any saw into a wall is you don't hit any wires or any plumbing. Now we do have a bathroom on the other side of this wall, but the shower's over here and there's a vanity and a toilet here, but none of those pipes run up this high. So we're good there and there's no electrical running through this wall or no outlets, but you always want to make sure, you want to double check. And then if there is, then you just need to be careful. And even if there isn't, or not that you know of, you still want to be careful. Just take the saw in just a little bit. You don't need to go to full depth of the saw. Okay, and that's our hole, and yeah, we got a stud back there. So, and for where the piece was, where the studs were, I just put my saw at an angle and just kind of cut out the drywall material and pulled it out. So, and we check to fit, make sure our piece will fit inside there. That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of sheetrock screws. We're going to put in our piece of backing. Now our backing is going to go above and below where we're going to put our piece of drywall. That way we can put some screws into it from this piece of drywall, and then we'll put in some screws into our replacement piece. Now they do have special tips you can buy for putting in sheetrock screws that prevent the screw from going all the way through, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to break the paper, because if you break the paper then that screw really isn't holding anything, so you just need to put in another screw. Or if you're just using a regular drill, just be careful that you don't go in too deep. You want to go in deep enough to where you can cover it with mud, but not deep enough to where you're breaking the paper. just going to throw some screws right here into the stud. Okay, put our piece in. Okay, and that's it. Next we're gonna get some tape and some mud and we'll start mudding it out. Okay, so the tape I'm going to use is just a paper tape. I see a lot of people using that mesh tape that has that adhesive back. That's mostly used for like corner bead, not for tape and joints. I've seen a lot of people do it. Nice thing about the paper tape is it's nice and smooth. You don't get those little bumps as you're trying to coat out your tape. So I prefer paper tape, and all we're going to do is just kind of cut it to length. And we are going to overlap the tape. So you're going to cut the piece just a little bit longer than the patch. Okay, and then we're going to mix up some 20-minute quick set mud. You can buy this at most hardware stores, Ace or Lowe's or Home Depot. Nice thing about it is it sets up in about 20 minutes, so you can do multiple coats fairly quickly and not have to wait all day for your topping and your all-purpose to dry before you put on your next coat. So we're going to mix up a little bit and then start mudding. Okay, so when you're mixing up the the quick set mud, it just comes in a powder. You just add water to it. You want to make sure it's nice and smooth, no lumps, no nothing. You don't want it too runny because then it's just gonna make a mess. You also don't want it too thick because then it's gonna set up on you a lot faster than the 20 minutes. So just a nice consistency, about, I don't know, thick pancake batter. Okay, first knife I'm going to use is the 6-inch taping knife. I've seen some videos of people using putty knives, like small 3-inch, 2-inch putty knives to do drywall work like this, and they don't work. You want something bigger than what you're actually going to mud. So I put the mud on. Then I put my piece of tape on, then I'm just going to blade it off. Put my tape on, just kind of center it over the crack, make sure it's overlapping your other two sides. Now if you're working like over carpet or something, you probably want to put a drop cloth down. And then always make sure your mud ain't getting away from you, because it likes to, when you tilt your hawk around, it likes to kind of slide off. So and then we're going to put some mud on the top, mud on the bottom. Piece on the bottom, and you want to make sure it's got a good bit of mud behind it. You don't want any air pockets or nothing, because that's just going to bubble when you start coating the mud out. So make sure they're nice and flat. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to a 10-inch taping knife. The reason why I'm going to go 10 inch is just because I'm going to blade this whole thing. I'm not going to go over each little piece of tape. I'm just going to coat over the whole thing. That way it's all nice and flat. Point of taping is to try to make the wall look flat and take care of any like holes. So we're just going to put the mud on most of the width of the blade. Like that. Start at the top, pull it down. And I'm going wider than my patch. My patch is just here, but I'm going quite a bit past it and above and below it, because I want it to look nice and flat. I don't want someone to come up, look at the wall and see a bump here. So, and then I'm going to blade it off, putting pressure on the outside of my blade on this side to feather that out. I'm just going to move it across and putting pressure on the other side. I'm going to go down. And then last one. Okay. Now you can kind of still see the tape a little bit, and I got a couple of ridges in here, but that's okay because I'm going to do another coat. You want to do this in a couple of coats. Some people try to make it look perfect in one coat, and you can't do it. No point trying to. So we're going to come back when this is dry, coat it again, and then after that we'll do a quick skim coat, and then it'll be ready for sanding. Okay, alright. Okay, so our first coat's dry. We're going to go ahead and put our second coat on there. Now I did not sand it. Okay, I just kind of scraped it down before putting this coat on. So kind of the same thing. We're going to start above it. And this time we're going to go a little bit wider as well. So I just want to get right up to that edge. And if you're putting mud on top of paint, you'll get little bubbles in your mud. So best thing to do is just try to blade those down as flat as you can, and then just sand them out. Okay, just like that. And as I'm blading it off, I started on this side, so I'm always putting pressure on this side of my blade. And the reason why you do that is so you don't leave a line on the other side, and it's works very fast. So that's pretty much it. We'll just put a skim coat on that with just some regular chopping mud, and then it'll be ready to sand and paint.